Hey, I think we're live.
Hello, Speed. Hello, beloved answerites.
Yes.
No, that doesn't sound right.
Answerites. I like
Answerlings.
Answer atheites. Answer. I don't fucking know.
We'll have to come up with a name for our side chat faithfuls.
We'll think tank this.
Yeah,
is what we'll do. We need a think tank. We haven't
we'll
had a
workshop
think tank
it.
We haven't had a think tank for a long time.
I need to get my whiteboard.
Yep. So we got Captive Desk and we have Stephanie Helms. I don't know if Stephanie's still with us. I am 26,400 days old today. I've killed another 100 days off my life. And so it is my birthday because the even number. And Scott, how old are you going to be tomorrow?
I will be 21,666 days old.
God help you. Pray for Scott's soul.
I will be the 666.
Yeah. Okay, so Stephanie, so I got this. So it's Natalie Gold is her name. She just came on. I just got a notification yesterday and subscribed to Natalie Gold.
No. Her name is Natalie, and she doesn't strike gold 100%. In other words, her name's not gold.
Usually gets it. If you're going to talk on this, I'm available in about 20 minutes. Yeah. Well, the wonderful thing is I found this video, which I'm going to link in the description, where she goes through and does a really good job of the history of Anita Bryant. And then she gets on to J.K. Rowling's. And one of the things is, debate, illiberal methods, and then why is J.K. Rowling's like this, which I thought might be interesting. Because I don't know much about J.K. Rowling.
And we are joined by James Apperson.
Hello there, everybody.
Hello, James.
I apologize for being late. I misunderstood it. It said noon, so I thought you meant your time, not my time. So,
yeah. Well,
this is what we get for transcribing to somebody else's time zone.
It can't win, can you? So I watched this stream already. I just got done. Watched it last night. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you must have got a notification for some reason too, and I had not seen this channel before, and so I'm not sure why. So is J.K. Rowling like this? Is that worth reviewing and going over?
I think that there's merit to it. Do I necessarily sign on to every single thing she says? I'd have to do more research before I could do that. However, there's merit to it.
Yeah, so she was conned into being in a J.K. Rowling's apology series. Like it was I think it was like a 6-hour documentary or something like that.
Do you mean apology as in apologetics or apology as in I'm sorry?
Oh, apologetics.
Oh, okay.
J.K. Rowling is just a victim of cancel culture, and everybody's getting on poor J.K., the poor billionaire, and being mean to J.K. Rowling's. And anyway, she was interviewed for that, and they used her in the documentary, and she was a little pissed about it because it was misrepresented as a kind of a criticism of J.K. Rowling is what she thought she was getting into.
Right. So she talks a lot, and she doesn't call it this, but it's from the alt-right playbook, the games that are being played on the J.K. Rowling apologetic side, where every time you corner him in something, the Bot and Bailey thing, where where you have a strong position, but when someone calls you out on it, you walk it back to a position everybody can agree on and pretend that was always your position. That's one of the games they play. And
what is that called? What is the name of that move?
She'll explain it in the video. I don't know if we're going to watch the whole thing or not, but Mott and Bailey. And then she explains how they also do the thing where it's just a thought experiment, right? Where we're just asking questions.
Right.
The same usual bullshit.
Yeah, we're just trying to open up the conversation. But
Sure.
Do you want to send a link to Stephanie?
yeah.
Now she may not be able to join us until
20 minutes.
A few more minutes in, yeah.
Yeah. Let me see here. I'll see. We could open it up too at some point because I don't have too much today except fucking physicalism. Get with it, boys and girls.
Yeah, what's new in physicalism?
God damn it. I mean,
you're either strictly physicalism or you believe in magic and supernatural.
Yeah.
You're just taking You're just taking religion into the atheist domain, and what's the point of that?
And don't give me this substance dualism shit because you're just a fucking godtard in, sheep's clothing.
Yeah.
By the way, have you heard of a YouTube channel called Carneades.org?
Maybe.
It's a YouTube channel that covers pretty much just philosophy. Apparently it's been around for years, but they have like this whole thing on how different philosophers would respond to presuppositionalism, as well as thousands of other topics. It's just that's the one I was most interested in.
Oh,
Carneades.org. I'll get a link to the channel.
Yeah, so I can't find Stephanie's email. Yeah, I forgot what it is.
We'll just have to put it in the.
Okay, let me see if I can find it in my regular mail.
Yeah, I want to check that out because I have my own way of tackling presuppositionalism.
Oh, I
would love to hear what theirs is.
Link. Are you eating? Stop it.
No way. It's your birthday, isn't it?
No way.
I'm eating to celebrate your. I'm totally not eating to celebrate your birthday.
It's a birthday party.
I see. Okay. Anyway, yeah. So, should I play a little bit of this? The J.K.
Sure,
Rowling?
why not? Sure.
We'll try it out.
Chapter 7. Why is J.K. Rowling like this? J.K. Rowling loves to quote radical feminist Andrea Dworkin, whom I've already mentioned a couple times in this video.
I myself favor violence. Deeply, I favor it.
Dworkin is known for her extreme sex-negative views, which I don't agree with, but she was an interesting writer, one of those half-crazed savants who gets in your head, who you can't stop thinking about. In my opinion, Dworkin's best book is Right-Wing Women, published in 1983, the era of Phyllis Schlafly and Anita Bryant. Right-Wing Women is an analysis of why so many women are drawn to conservative politics, seemingly against their own interests. Anyone who's interested in understanding the gender critical movement, a crypto-reactionary backlash disguising itself as feminism, should read this book. In Dworkin's analysis,
the political right makes certain metaphysical and material promises to women that both exploit and quiet some of women's deepest fears. No one can bear to live a meaningless life. Women fight for meaning just as women fight for survival.
And conservative politics promises women meaning.
The right offers women a simple, fixed, predetermined social, biological, and sexual order. Form conquers chaos. Form banishes confusion.
The gender critical movement offers women a
I want to say something about that.
Okay.
What's that?
That's interesting because I know some really powerful women who seem to buy into this whole biblical narrative that the man of the house is the ruler. Like some friends of mine, and it just runs so counter to who she is that I don't believe it for a minute that she lets her husband run the household, because I don't want to say any names, but she is just way too much in charge. But yet she goes with that narrative, that biblical narrative that, oh no, you have to submit to the man. Like, really?
Sure. So I think part of that is a leftover from childhood, where we spend our formative years in this sort of social hierarchy system where there always has to be somebody in charge and somebody who toes the line. And then we enter the real world And our best life lived is not necessarily that, but so many people have this so hardwired into them by then that they're like, well, what else would I do? Right? It's, I think this is where it comes from when the Eurythmics sing about that. Sweet dreams are made of this. It's this whole, people, some people are just wired that way. Can they be rewired? Sure. But if they don't want to, then that's just it. Right.
Yeah.
Excuse
So
me, James, but damn
good.
you for putting that song in my head. Thank you so much.
Oh, I love that
Hey,
song.
sure.
I love that. I like Marilyn Manson's version, and I like the original version.
The original and the video, they predict the internet. It's fascinating if you go back and watch that.
Whoops. Whoops. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay. So, and I also get the appeal of the simplistic ways of thinking, right? It appeals strongly to dualistic thinkers, black and white thinkers, and to people who are so intimidated by adulthood and adult responsibilities that they would rather hand those over to somebody else. You tell me what to do. You take responsibility for the house. You take responsibility for me, right? You tell me what to do. I get how that's easier in some ways, even if it involves more physical labor.
That's the way I am, or that's the way I always wanted to be.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I didn't mate with people that allowed me to be that way, but I just wanted to not be fucking in charge.
Right. So yeah. So there is a degree of understandability about what they're talking about. It's just my problem, and this is the same thing with red pillars, right, and black pillars and everybody else. My problem isn't that they have a certain way that they want to be in life or relate to their partners or whatever. My problem is them trying to say that this is how everybody else should be, right? I have no problem at all with a trad. The new term is trad wife, right? And there's a video of this lady who's really like popular right now for that idea and
Traditional?
controversial. Yeah, traditional life, and very good because I needed to. They needed to explain that to me. I'm like, trad, where are they getting that word from? I'm like, duh. So yeah, I'm fine with it. I have no
You remember
problem with
those?
it. Good.
You remember those cringy Betty Crocker commercials from the 1950s and 60s with the housewife with the apron and all that?
Uh-huh.
I used to watch those when I was a little kid, and then I look at my mom and I say, like, this does not compute. This does not compute. My mom is not like that.
Wow.
I kind of wish she
Yeah.
was like that quiet sometimes, but
Sure.
yeah. No.
Sure, the whole Leave It to Beaver kind of family structure,
Mikey, you son of a bitch.
right?
Cocksucker and son of a bitch and kids. That was her favorite.
Right.
That's what I thought my
Wow.
name was. That's what I thought my name was. It's like, wow, what is a cocksucker and son of a bitch, Mom? I'm not gonna tell you. It's like, get out of here.
Yeah.
She swore like a sailor. Irish, just fucking immensely powerful when she came into a room. Like she would take over an entire, fucking funeral or church gathering.
Right.
So
there's going to be certain settings where that works out great for people, and certain settings where it doesn't work out great for people. And some people are going to love it, and some people are going to hate it. It's understandable. So,
I
go ahead.
I want to make something clear. I celebrate my birthday every 100th day. So like 100, it's not my annual birthday. That's on January 7th. So the going around the sun thing, no. I have 3.6 birthdays a year. So
yeah, we me, Mike, and Johnny Peterson have this ongoing thread where each day we announce how many days has gone by since we were born, so that we're aware of each day of our lives and try to appreciate each day of our lives. It's kind of a ritual we do, and so these numbers come out of that. Like it's been 24,600 days since speed was first introduced to this plane of existence.
When I popped out my mama.
When you popped out your mama. And then tomorrow will be 21,666 days since I was tossed out onto this world to to expend my energies.
And we must celebrate the Satan. Anyway, yeah. So, like on my tombstone, I want the day I was born. You know, they can say January 7th, 1951, and then put the number of days that I lasted. And I think that in big numbers, you know, I want that on my tombstone. So, anyway. Yep, John and Scott do too. I've got them. Hi there. Okay, let me talk to him.
Oh, that's somebody who wants me to give them money.
We should talk to him. We could, you know, straighten them out. Anyway.
Win them over to atheism.
Oh, my dad did not swear as much as my mother did, but he was capable of a good God damn it occasionally, but finish her shift. Oh, they worked at a bar. A lot of bartenders are really interesting. Like, I know a lot of bartenders. I never understood bartenders who aren't alcoholics, but most of them aren't. I guess that would be a problem if you were both an alcoholic and a bartender. So I used to clean bars, and holy shit, would we get drunk?
What did you drink? All the leftovers?
No, the fucking top shelf shit was just all laid out for us. We could have anything we wanted. Plus, we ate all the olives we wanted, and yeah, it was great. And then we get up on stage and fire up the instruments and do a little rock band, and then we eventually clean the bar, which is what we were being paid for. But.
All right, yeah, it's like good.
No, I'm done. Go ahead. I was going to play more, but
yeah, let's watch more.
Okay.
Of sex and gender. A woman is an adult human female. Right-wing anti-trans activist Posey Parker has made this phrase into the motto of the gender-critical movement. Adult human female. It's on billboards, it's on t-shirts, it's on banners, signs, and tweets. Presented with the authority of a dictionary definition, it's rigid, it's orderly, it's immutable. There are no exceptions, there are no blurred lines, there can be no... Lillian Federman recounts that...
I'm sorry. I clicked on something. What the hell does she have Campbell's tomato soup for here?
Yeah, I was wondering that earlier.
Okay, so...
maybe she was hungry.
Okay, here I was.
Immutable. There are no exceptions, there are no blurred lines, there can be no change. This mantra is a defense against the conceptual...
Well, she has a different drink in every segment, you know, and now it's tomato soup. Pretty impressive.
Instability and chaos that gender criticals fear. The same fear that once drove homophobic women like Anita Bryant.
Just biologically, that God made mothers so that we could reproduce. Homosexuals cannot reproduce biologically.
Erasing the concept of sex removes the ability of many to meaningfully discuss their lives.
Dworkin says,
within the frame of male domination, there is a good reason for women to hate homosexuality, both male and female. Women are interchangeable as sex objects. Women are slightly less disposable as mothers. The only dignity and value women get is as mothers. Having children is the one social contribution credited to women. It is the bedrock of women's social worth. Without childbearing, women know they have nothing. Homosexuality for women means having nothing. It means extinction.
Substitute transgenderism for homosexuality, and you'll understand the gender-critical movement. J.K. Rowling's definition of woman is this.
The woman is the producer of the large gametes.
The producer of the large gametes. Rowling says her primary concern about young trans men is the loss of fertility.
Homosexuality, its rise in public visibility, attempts to socially legitimize or protect it, makes women expendable. The one thing women can do and be valued for will no longer be valued. Male homosexuality is especially terrifying because it suggests a world without women altogether, a world in which women are extinct.
This exact fear appears frequently in gender-critical rhetoric. Trans activists are erasing women. They're erasing biological sex. They're going to call us pregnant people. Confused girls are being robbed of their precious fertility. Trans women are going to replace biological women.
As a woman, I feel threatened because biological men are aggressively replacing women.
You will not replace us! Sometimes this paranoia.
Who was that quote from? Was that wrong?
Marjorie Taylor.
Oh, are you kidding? Green?
I call her Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Oh my God, it is. All my life as an American woman, I've been equal in every place to men, but not anymore. Oh no, why not? What happened? Well, you opened your mouth. That's why you're not equal anymore.
Yeah, she never was equal. She's more stupid than
we got to look at the inside of your fucking
99% of the United States.
Anyway.
Shit. Now, is this person that she was quoting earlier, did she call her Parker Posey?
Yeah, I've heard that name.
Parker Posey is an actress, but I think it's a different Parker Posey. That just kind of threw me for a loop.
I don't know. Not sure. Might have been somebody else. Anyway, so that's it. So that's their angle. But it's kind of a weird fucking angle. I mean, what the fuck? Do they care? It's like, are they asking you to be a homosexual or what? I don't understand. Why would it threaten all women, basically?
Her name is Posey Parker?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Maybe. Oh.
Talk about confusing.
That is confusing. Okay.
Sorry. James, what do you think about Parker Posey?
I mean, I wouldn't name my kid that, but
Okay, yeah.
I would.
I meant the actress, but anyway, yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah, that's an interesting name. You have to give him that.
You have to give him that.
I would do
so
that.
I don't. What are your thoughts?
I would name.
She was on the remake series of Lost in Space. She played the evil, untrustworthy doctor, whatever. I can't remember, or professor, whatever. I can't remember, but
Dr. Smith.
Smith, yeah. Although that in the series, she's not really a doctor, quote unquote, because
she replaced somebody else, and they didn't know.
Yeah, she's a con man or a con person.
Yeah, she's a sociopathic predator.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. And so anyway, so that was, I liked her in that, and I've liked her in the other shows I've seen her in. I think she's in one of the Scream movies or something.
Yeah, I've always liked Parker Posey.
But the other one, I think, is a stupid jerk.
Yeah, but
she reminds me of Ali Sheedy a little bit.
Yeah,
now that you say it, you are absolutely right.
Yeah.
As an aside, I wanted to name my twins Dustin and Dylan. I wanted to name them Spot and Rover, and my wife wouldn't let me.
Well, sometimes you just really have to give it to the wife.
Yep. Yeah. Well, we went with
I think she saved you there.
I don't know. I think it would have been cool.
There would have at least been some sort of Department of Child Services investigation.
Yeah, and then right around that time, leashes on children became popular, and I just thought that would have just really rocked.
That was a short-lived movement.
Oh yeah. Actually, it kept them safe. I don't know.
Oh, I really like Paul's directness here on that.
Holds a high position. Yeah. How does this woman hold a high position in the Republican Party? I do not understand.
Yeah.
Taylor Greene. I don't understand people who elect people like that. I mean, I always wanted politicians to be like educated and stuff. I don't know.
Well, I might give, my vote to somebody who is, really smart, really compassionate and progressive or whatever, but who also has a, kind of a bucks
Down
the system
home.
kind of attitude.
Yeah.
But see, they have to be smart. It's like,
Yeah.
it's like there's
Smart is the word.
a lot of the country that just says,
See, they have to be smart.
Oh,
like-
I think you're echoing. I think you're echoing, Stephanie. I think
hi,
we got
Stephanie. I didn't see you there.
No,
It's
I
like,
think you're echoing. I think you're echoing, Stephanie.
Hi, Stephanie.
You got to shut something off, Stephanie.
I think she just did.
Okay.
Stephanie.
No, yeah.
Maybe she didn't.
Yeah, I am. I had it running.
Are you okay?
So,
yeah. What do you think of this person? This is the first
Posey
time on my
Parker
radar.
is a woman by the name of Kelly Jean Keene. She's got nothing to do with Parker Posey.
Okay.
Kelly Jean Keene is a relentless campaigner against trans women in particular.
Really?
Trans people in general. And the tomato soup reference is Kelly Jean is very active internationally. She recently went to Australia and was pretty soundly rejected by most people there. But one protester did remember when Anita Bryant used to get hit in the face with a pie all the time?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Well, someone who was taking exception to Posey Parker's positions. Let's get a little alliteration in there.
Yeah, pretty good.
Doused her with tomato soup in a protest.
Oh,
Okay. That's why she had tomato soup.
Yeah, you get the context.
She was pelted with eggs and doused in tomato soup in
Correct.
Australia. Oh my goodness.
boy, they mean business in Australia.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, she's not a very nice person. I mean, she basically has literally called for men to go into women's rooms and shoot trans people if they found them there.
Holy fuck.
Wow.
So
this is not, when as you're reviewing all of this stuff, that's why I wanted to come in here. You need to listen carefully, and if you're not aware of situations, you should be. You should know the depth of hatred that we encounter on a daily basis in the media, in uninformed spaces, and all the mythology around trans lives is something that's very, very hurtful to trans people.
Yeah, there was a recent assault in St. Paul of a trans woman, and I never found out what happened to it. But the first word on it was they weren't going to charge it as a hate crime, and I was waiting to hear why, what the reasoning was. But it happens.
It doesn't matter. Sure. I mean, it's an attack on a woman. Okay.
Yeah.
The point is that.
But it's a meaningless.
Far more frequently, it's gender nonconforming women. Women who dress butch dykes are frequently challenged in women's spaces, far more frequently than trans women are. Most trans women, or not all, but most. And again, if I'm talking about the trans experience, I'm only talking about mine. Really, I can't generalize, and I think that happens too frequently. But most trans women are at great pains to fit the role. In other words, go towards stereotypes out of self-defense. Because gender norms are a problem in society, I think. But I don't know if I'm even communicating this well. But far more frequently, a person assigned female at birth will be the person who is attacked, assaulted, screamed at, etc., and so forth by a person who hates trans people. So the misogyny involved here involves every woman. So you make laws against trans people, you're putting cis people at risk. In the sports realm, the only people who have ever been hopped out, chucked from the Olympics for too high a level of testosterone, or back when they were doing chromosome tests, were cis women, assigned female at birth women. So these measures and this thought, there's no thought given, really. It's signaling. It's semiotics. It's garbage, and people's lives are at risk because of it.
I just found out that the perpetrators of that crime are looking at 25 years in prison. So there was a robbery involved too. So
now, doesn't also, in addition to, of course, to the lives of women being in danger and at risk, and just an attitude of fear, with basically men in charge of terrorizing women. Isn't that like kind of always the beginning stage of fascist takeovers? Is they go after the trans and homosexual populations?
Well, that is certain. We have a case history of the mid 20th century where that's exactly the case. I mean, including book burnings. I mean, the first book burning in Nazi Germany.
Yeah.
The anniversary is coming right up. It was May 16th, I believe, where the SA and the Nazis walked into the Institute for Sexual Research in Berlin, and seized the library. There, Magnus Hirschfeld was the director of that institute, and he had two sins against him. He was three really. He was gay, he was Jewish, and he was probably the most informed person of that time with regard to gender nonconforming and queer studies. And it assembled quite a bit of research in that institute. The Nazis walked in to the library, grabbed all the books, brought them out onto the street, and burned them. But they kept the record. They kept the patient records and rounded the people up.
Yeah.
So there's history there too.
That reminds me of Texas idiot Greg Abbott wanting to find all the driver's licenses of people who had switched from M to F or F to M under gender, just to try to compile a list of people who have undergone trans surgery.
Making a list.
Yeah, make a compiling list. That should scare everybody.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and put it together with canceling books. I mean, literally, so, nope, you can't read that. Nope, can't read this. Nope, can't read that.
There was some library that decided to close entirely in Texas. Did anybody see that news article? Instead of going through the trouble of censoring all their books, they decided to close the library or something like that. Spotted that yesterday.
Yeah, I've heard that, but I don't know the details of it.
Yeah, there was some news story or whatever. It's like, way to go. Let's just close the libraries. Library's bad, books bad. Anyway.
So Natalie Wynn is ContraPoints' name. That's who she is. She's not always 100%. I don't always agree with her, but then again, who the hell always agrees with somebody?
Right.
She's gotten some off takes that I quibble with, but it's a matter of quibbling.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't even always agree with myself, so I can really do that.
Yep.
So it's part of the. She stepped in it. Oh golly, what was it, like 2 years ago? She stepped in it and said something off, and I don't even. It's one of those. Who gives a shit? She said something stupid on the internet. It's like, who the fuck else hasn't? But she got dogpiled by a bunch of people on the to her with more. I don't know what the proper word is. With more strident trans voices than hers, dogpiled her. And the problem is, and it's sort of a weird thing. It's like, why go after Natalie when you've got J.K. Rowling, who's a fucking billionaire and spending her money and all of her time, seemingly, or a fair bit of her time, going around absolutely trashing trans rights in Great Britain and around the world. Rowling's a big fan of Kelly Jean Keane and a big fan of Maya Forstater and all of these people who are basically saying trans people shouldn't exist, that they should be, in the words of Janice Raymond. Now, these words will sound familiar. Let me see if I can get it exactly right. I'm going to have to do this from memory, and somebody can. It's on page 176 of a book that Janice Raymond wrote in 1979 called "The Transsexual Empire," and her words were, "I believe that the solution to the problem of transsexualism is to morally mandate it out of existence." Now, if you recall what Michael Steele, I think it's Michael Steele, right, who gave that address at CPAC this year, what did he say? The exact same thing. Only he used transgender instead.
So that was a 1979 book?
Yes.
That was pretty
It's called
early.
The Transsexual Empire. Google it.
Yeah.
You Google Janice Raymond.
Yeah.
Janice Raymond was basically the grandmother of trans exclusionary radical feminists.
There's a Wikipedia article on that book. So publication history.
So the language and the language that we're hearing today that really started ramping up in 2018. About transsexuals, transgender individuals, and I'm comfortable. A lot of people aren't comfortable with the phrase transsexual, but it's the phrase that I spent most of my life dealing with. I think transgender is both words have issues because I don't feel that I've changed my gender.
Yeah.
But it's not. I think that the semantics of it are only useful insofar as they're signals, insofar as they're signs, and how language is used. I'm perfectly willing to go with whatever seems most appropriate. I don't mind either. But the language used around people who are trans, let's keep it short, the way we don't have to worry about it, is the same. It has echoes from the actual words used by people like Raymond, and when it gets into the realm of psychology and stuff, has echoes of the language used by J. Michael Bailey and like Ray Blanchard from a decade later. I mean, Ray Blanchard was like 87 or so. So the echo, the citations and quotations are there around trans issues, but the language, the rhyme is with on the activist side. The rhyme is the similar language being used for the gay menace, the gay panic of the 80s and the 70s, being used now, because you can't use the gay issue anymore. Most people are, people's attitudes change so radically between the 90s and the aughts around issues of homosexuality, gay marriage, and all of that stuff. Can't use that issue anymore.
Yeah.
And abortion. Well, we just had this, the recent Supreme Court decision. Can't use that issue anymore. What's left? Us.
Yeah.
0.6% of the population. Us.
So like the wave seems to be rising right now. And I think Trump somehow, Trump becoming like a legitimate thing, sort of unleashed the shit that people used to keep inside their heads, these conservatives, and they didn't say out loud. And somehow now they're yelling it from the rooftops, and they're gaining steam, and they're on many issues. And it's just like, and I think Trump unleashed that. And it seems like he set us back a half a century in our thinking. What the fuck is going on? I mean,
I think Trump likes to jump in front of the parade, and he hitched his wagon to, Trump when liberal ascendancy was a thing, was a liberal, and conservative ascendancy and conservative anger and fear mongering is very effective at motivating bases to polls and all of that sort of thing. So you remember Trump in 16, when he was running for president, said he was going to be the most gay friendly president ever.
Really?
Well, and that went by the wayside when it's like, what do you mean?
Yeah. Yeah, but I think he unleashed this sort of idiot saying idiotic things. Basically became normal, and it wasn't normal before. Yeah, permission.
He gave bigots permission to be bigots publicly.
There you go.
I mean, what was unacceptable public discourse became acceptable again. If you remember Lee Atwater, do you remember Lee Atwater?
I remember the name.
Lee Atwater was Reagan's political guru, and he quite famously said, in the 50s, you could run around saying N-word, N-word, N-word. You can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
You can't, and so now what you've got to do is use symbols.
Drugs, gangs.
Yeah. Inner city issues. This sort of thing. And never forget, Reagan launched his first presidential campaign in where? Philadelphia, Mississippi. What happened in Philadelphia, Mississippi in the 1960s? 4 civil rights workers were murdered.
Okay.
So echoes, and people don't remember. The people who, this is the thing with dog whistles. The people who don't remember what the dog whistles are miss it. That's what makes a dog whistle effective, right? But
only a certain group of people is going to respond to them.
The bigots, remember what that symbolism is all about.
Wow. Yeah.
And they'll latch onto it. So when people do use dog whistles, even in jest, it again grants permission to the people who are really bigoted to go around and use not just the dog whistles, but the actual language of discrimination, bigotry, and in the case of trans people, elimination from the public space.
I was a big Reagan supporter, but I didn't know anything about Reagan being a bigot. That isn't how I viewed him at all. So there was a certain quietness about that aspect of those individuals that for me, who was a Republican at the time, right, just a business owner Republican, did not see or hear about, right? It wasn't interface like it is now. Now it's almost more honest in that we hear what they're thinking. But back then, you didn't hear so much what they were thinking, and
because they were using dog whistles.
Yeah, and I didn't hear them because my hearing's
because you weren't part of the culture.
Yeah,
that was either at the tip of the spear,
yeah,
or the ones holding the spears and burning the crosses and lynching the black people.
Yeah, and that's why they
didn't have information on either side.
And that's where the Republican Party is really fucking themselves now, because they're not going to get the votes from the middle people that which I was a part of. So I was like a middle road conservative, and they're not going to get that anymore. And I don't think they're going to do well in elections, except in certain state elections. I don't think they're going to do well in national elections going forward if they keep it up, unless they reverse. I don't know.
You want to keep going with Natalie, and
yeah, we can. Yeah, go further. Want me to play it? Go ahead.
Your show.
Oh, not really. I hate being in charge. Scott's in charge.
No, I'm not in charge.
Replacing women.
You will not replace us! Sometimes this paranoia ramps up to the point of obsession, and the results can be dazzling. In September 2022, Maya Forstater, who you'll remember as the anti-trans activist whom J.K. Rowling came out as a TERF to defend, went on a full-blown Twitter rampage because the Hertfordshire County Libraries announced...
What just happened?
From the book start bare to a bright, vibrant...
Are you still there, Speed?
What?
Okay, just making sure you still had technical.
What's going on?
I just you got really quiet and just stopped moving. We're not hearing the video if you're playing it.
Really?
Yeah.
Micro.
Make it like it was before.
Germania says, "Share the screen, not just the audio." Boomer.
There you go.
Oh.
Thank you, Gur, for your technical insight.
Can't do that. Something's going on. Hang on a second.
But it was playing just better.
I know, but then I went ahead and switched to my headphones, and I fucked up.
You shouldn't have done that.
I really fucked up. Okay, here we go. Video. Hang on a second. Let's try this again. See if you can hear it.
Express how upset I feel. The library...
Can you hear that?
Yeah, very well. Thank you.
Okay. I think we're good now. So, okay, and for Gur, I'm going to do this. Let's see here. I'll put us all over there and go ahead and play it. Okay, do you want me to back up a little bit?
Net. Maya tweeted the words of an indignant mother who referred to Talia, wait, wasn't it Tala? Referring to Talia as a trans bear with they-them pronouns, describing the mascot as ideological, creepy, and gaslighting. I cannot express how upset I feel. The library jumped in to clarify that Tala, not Talia, isn't trans, they are an alien. Maya then demanded to know how this alien was birthed. Did it hatch from an egg, or was it born from a mama? Some people tried to reason with Maya. There's an advantage in having a character that isn't identifiably male or female, as it can be equally relatable to either sex and avoid promoting gender stereotypes. But Maya was not convinced. It seems highly unlikely that an alien that had evolved with such recognizable vertebrate body plan is not sexually reproducing. It's a relatable anthropomorphic character, not a slime mold. I need to know how the alien fucks right now. I said I need to know how the alien fucks before I can show it to my child. When Twitter understandably laughed it up at Maya's expense, she just kept posting. And she posted hard. Honestly, I don't know if I've ever seen anyone post so hard. In a lengthy diatribe, Maya wrote about the miseries of new motherhood. You are in charge of a baby. You have never done this before. You haven't had a good night's sleep for months and won't for years. Everyone has an opinion on what you are doing right and wrong, and you've become invisible. You had politics. You had a career. You had interests. You had a sex life. Now you have the daily needs of a completely dependent person, and your world has shrunk. The fact that these men and the young women that cheer them on think this is so laughable reflects society's disdain for mothers. This is what it means to say a woman is not a feeling or a costume. This is why the hub of the resistance is on Mumsnet. So I am fascinated by this thread. I think it's one of the most revealing texts in gender critical history, because you know what? Maya Forstater actually does have valid concerns. But the concerns she has that are valid have nothing to do with trans people, and they definitely have nothing to do with an adorable cartoon alien. Honestly, reading this, I have some concerns. Concerns like, where is Maya's husband? I know she has one. Isn't raising children supposed to be a mutual project? No one should have to feel this alone raising children. That is a valid concern. Oh my God, we actually found one. It's like finding El Dorado. A valid concern. A valid concern. Isn't what's going on here that Maya is taking legitimate feelings of being overburdened and underappreciated and displacing those feelings onto transgender people? This is exactly how the gender critical movement recruits, by providing a scapegoat to frustrated women. It's not your husband's neglect. It's not the increasing atomization of society. It's not the indignities of aging. It's Tala, the non-binary alien, with its dungarees and smug aura of gender neutrality.
This is
Mumsnet
semiotics.
is the hub of the resistance.
That's what I mean. This is semiotics. This is using symbols and ignoring people.
Yeah, there's like all
propaganda is just such a fascinating and horrible topic.
Well,
because you know, just there's tossing symbols up there like that and training people to react a certain way.
Yeah, I'm a recovering conservative nut cake, and I had concerns about immigration and a number of other things. It didn't cross over into the LGBTQ movement at all, but I had other concerns. And the thing is, what they did to me is they commandeered certain fears that I had put together over the course of my life, right? And somehow got me more fearful, you know, that whatever it was that, you know, inner anxiety I had was valid. And it got me into the whole Rush Limbaugh kind of thinking, right? And then when I came out of that, I had to deconstruct each of those fears and look at, you know, what was I responding to? What is the reality of my situation? Like I'd freak out every time I saw a Spanish road sign or something because, oh my God, my culture is being taken away. And then I'd think about it and it's like, what the fuck do I care? And it's like, I mean, there were all these little nuggets of fear inside of you and anxiety that you grow up, you know, whatever culture you grow up in, I grew up in the Iron Range of Minnesota, and we had certain fears about losing our jobs and all of this stuff. And those things were played upon, and you ended up with this conservative belief system. And that's why I think a lot of the normal people that are not real assholes, right? People that can rub two neurons together and come up with a solution are reachable. Basically, I think they're reachable, even some of the shitty conservative thinkers. So, anyway,
before you go on, anybody here a fan of Dune?
Yeah.
Well, I watched the movie, but I'm not a big fan.
Then you'll recognize this. I must not fear. Fear is the mind killer. Fear is the little death that brings total obliteration. I will face my fear. I will permit it to pass over me and through me. And when it has gone past, I will turn the inner eye to see its path. Where the fear has gone, there will be nothing. Only I will remain.
Ooh, I like that.
That's pretty cool.
Nice.
Profound.
That's the Bene Gesserit litany against fear.
Wow.
Cool.
Star Wars also has its own little way of dealing with fear. Who knew that sci-fi was so deep?
Oh, it is. Okay.
Affirming deep, not just complicated or whatever, but just, yeah.
Yeah. Again, the series Beef, which I just watched, it was a lot deeper than a Road Rage series, and I thought it was really, really well written. People should watch that. Anyway, stuff about life. Should I go on? Play more?
Go.
Okay.
Resistance to non-binary cartoons. It's too much. These people are too much. Okay, we have to be serious now. The political right also promises women safety and security.
For women, the world is a very dangerous place. The right acknowledges the reality of danger, the validity of fear. The right then manipulates the fear.
Women fear and resent male violence, which they're most likely to experience from the men closest to them: boyfriends, husbands, and fathers.
They're most likely to be killed by sexual partners.
But the need to survive in a male-dominated society means that women's legitimate fears and resentments often cannot be directed at the men with power.
Inevitably, this causes women to take the rage and contempt they feel for the men who actually abuse them, those close to them, and project it onto others, those far away, foreign, or different.
And this displacement of rage is just transparently what's going on with J.K. Rowling. In her essay about sex and gender issues, Rowling speculates that trans men...
Pause for just a sec. It's important to point out right now that Joanne Rowling herself was a victim of male violence, domestic violence, when she was younger. Okay. So there's hurt there.
Yeah.
Roll the tape.
Okay.
Men are transitioning to be the son her father wanted.
I really felt the rejection of my father, and that is one of the things that maybe leads someone going into homosexuality.
And she describes the lingering trauma from her first violent marriage.
The marriage at this point has turned very violent and very controlling.
And that, she says, is why she decided to speak out against the transgender movement. If you try to understand this rationally, it looks like a total non sequitur, but if you look at it emotionally, there's a kind of logic to it.
The existence of the dangerous outsider always functions for women simultaneously as deception, diversion, painkiller, and threat. Women cling to irrational hatreds focused particularly on the unfamiliar, so that they will not murder their fathers, husbands, sons, brothers, lovers, the men with whom they are intimate, those who do hurt them.
In the 1970s, many conservative women displaced this rage onto lesbians, the threatening outsider of the day. Dworkin attended the National Women's Conference in 1977, where she spoke to a lot of women about their fear of lesbians.
Right-wing women consistently spoke to me about lesbians as if lesbians were rapists, certified committers of sexual assault against women and girls. To them, the lesbian was inherently monstrous, experienced almost as a demonic sexual force hovering closer and closer. She was the dangerous intruder, encroaching, threatening by her very presence a sexual order that cannot bear scrutiny or withstand challenge.
It's almost surreal to read this because of how precisely it describes how gender criticals talk about trans women.
Pronouns are like rohypnol. They dull your defenses. They change your inhibitions. They're meant to.
Now, it's true that trans exclusionary radical feminism began as an offshoot of far-left lesbian separatism, with academic feminist Janice Raymond writing in 1979 that transsexualism should be morally mandated out of existence. But the
Page 176, by the way, of the book.
Okay.
Is destined to become a right-wing movement because it has the structure of a right-wing movement, taking women's fear and rage toward familiar men and displacing it onto an unfamiliar outsider. The momentum behind this is just too ripe an opportunity for conservatives to pass up. As Dworkin says,
because women so displace their rage, they are easily controlled and manipulated haters. Women require symbols of danger that justify their fear. The right provides these symbols of danger by designating clearly defined groups of outsiders as sources of danger.
In the 2020s, anti-trans bigotry has become a keystone of Conservative Party platforms, both in the UK, where Lee Anderson, deputy chair of the Conservative Party, predicts that the next election will be won on
probably a mixture of culture wars and trans debate,
and in the US, where the ACLU is currently tracking more than 450 anti-LGBT bills, including more than 130 gender-affirming care bans, 51 trans sports bans, 40 drag bans, 29 trans bathroom bans, and 21 bans defining trans people out of the law. Republicans have escalated anti-trans rhetoric to eliminationist extremes that have most trans people in this country living in a constant state of fear for our future.
Transgenderism must be eradicated from public life entirely.
The left is attacking our children, pushing sex talk, transgender extremism, and noxious politics in our schools. We should reject this demonic assault on the innocence of our children and stand fast against leftist efforts to mutilate their bodies and minds.
Stop confusing our babies with your groomer gender ideologue.
I will revoke every Biden policy promoting the chemical castration and sexual mutilation of our youth.
I don't remember.
Now, hang on. Do you notice a common theme here, by any chance?
The what?
You notice anybody who's being left out in this whole discussion?
No. But
trans men. Roll the tape.
That's interesting.
Roll the tape.
And ask Congress to send me a bill prohibiting child sexual mutilation in all 50 states. On day one, I will revoke Joe Biden's cruel policies on so-called gender-affirming care. Ridiculous. I will sign a new executive order instructing every federal agency to cease all programs that promote the concept of sex and gender transition at any age.
A few gender criticals still want to insist they have nothing to do with right-wing anti-trans bigots, like Helen Lewis.
I mean, TERF is basically witch.
Who attempts in her interview in The Witch Trials of J.K. Rowling to distinguish between the transphobia of the far right and that of feminists.
I think the hardest thing for outsiders to understand is that there are two different arguments going on. One is the traditional conservative right argument, which is anti-LGBT. The other one is a criticism from the left, in which it says sometimes male people and female people have different interests, no matter how the male people identify.
But as a trans person, I don't care whether you justify your transphobia in the name of protecting women or protecting children. Whether it's radical feminist Janice Raymond calling for transsexualism to be morally mandated out of existence, or conservative Catholic Michael Knowles calling for transgenderism to be eradicated from public life, is the same repulsive bigotry to me. And in any case, the gender critical movement has recently reached an implicit consensus that they're mostly done pretending to be feminist. The rising star of the movement, Posey Parker, aka Kelly J. Keane Minshall, rejects feminism entirely.
Do you call yourself a feminist now?
No.
Did you ever call yourself a feminist?
I probably did for a short time.
But so you wouldn't be sort of like a Julie Bindel type feminist?
No, well, some feminists, I mean, Julie Bindel has been critical of mothers in the past, and I think that's a theme flowing through feminism. I'm not a feminist! I'm not a feminist!
This is not Andrea Dworkin. This is Phyllis Schlafly. Parker's campaign is currently funded by the right-wing CPAC.
CPAC came along and said that they would sponsor our events and cover all of our insurance throughout our whole trip, which is really kind of them. But what we would need to do is we would need to show that we were working for them, working with them.
She has no qualms about collaborating with far-right white nationalists.
I want to talk about Marjorie Taylor Greene. Let me tell you what she's been saying. She's a Republican, but I agree with her wholeheartedly.
She's opposed abortion and contraception for teenagers.
Why are we enabling children to take sometimes contraceptives that are quite harmful, or access to abortion? I think that we really need to rethink all of this. I think parents need to take back control of their children.
She's called trans people fools and perverts.
Transgenderism is nuts. It's for fools and perverts.
She's denied that transgender is a legitimate concept.
It's not a real thing. There's no such thing as being born in the wrong body. There's no such thing as a trans woman. There's no such thing as a trans person. There is no such thing. There are people that call themselves these things that may have other issues manifesting that then make them think they're this. But no, we have to stop using any words like transgender. There may be more words that we have to say in order to say that. We may call it transgender ideology, but when it comes to a person, they may be following transgender ideology, but they are not transgender. There is no such thing as a man or a woman being anything other than a man or a woman.
She's called trans women pedophiles.
We know that if a man has a paraphilia of dressing as a woman, the most likely cross paraphilia is paedophilia. We know that these men have multiple paraphilias. They don't ever stop at one.
She's said that each and every woman who stands in her way will be annihilated.
Each and every one of you women who stand in my way, each and every one of you, let me just tell you, you will be annihilated.
She's called.
That's got to make women feel safe, right? Being annihilated. Oh, wait a minute.
Stand in her way and you'll be annihilated. That is,
I mean,
sick shit.
Yeah, God, I wasn't aware of it.
I think you're muted, Stephanie.
What's profoundly disturbing about this that I don't think people really do appreciate sufficiently. The reason I become exercised around issues like this is that this call out is telling me, Stephanie Helms, you don't exist. And by your being public, I take such great offense that I want to tell you who you are, how you can be, what your life is, what your ability to access and deeply touch your physicality and your brain state are. I want to define you. I want to morally mandate you out of existence.
Yeah.
That is eliminationist. And you need to understand how it affects individual people. You need to understand that the laws that are being passed, that have passed in the public realm, that affects 0.6% of the population, hurt individual people profoundly in their ability to live, be a constructive, contributing member of a society. It's exclusionary, it's eliminationist, and it is personally distressing. Take it in and think about it.
Yeah, and they're blowing it up like way out of proportion.
There's no justification whatsoever for this sort of rhetoric.
Yeah.
The situation is dire. No transgender person in Oklahoma can access gender affirming care by law. Nobody. And you all voted for that.
I did.
No, I mean, just where? No, you didn't. Nobody who doesn't live in Oklahoma did. But those people were elected to the state legislature.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, through the democratic process, much like in Weimar Germany, through the democratic process, the people that don't realize the actual harms that are being done to actual individual people, very small number, is eroding the very foundations of liberty, equality, fraternity, the old French Revolutionary slogan. We can't keep going on like this. And the plain fact of the matter is, when I say you all voted for this, what I mean is a lot of people are sitting on the sidelines because it doesn't affect their daily lives.
Yeah.
And they've got to stop being on the sidelines. They've got to stop with anodyne assurances as to whose back they have. Because I'm going to say it again. I've been beating this drum for a while. If you tell me that you have my back, please notice that my back is against the wall. Please notice the firing squad. Don't have my back as my hands are tied. Offering me one last cigarette is not having my back.
Yeah. There's a whole bunch that I wasn't aware of in this video, and just wasn't aware of it.
That's why Natalie did the video. That's why I go on these shows and apparently upset people by by trying to communicate just how dire the situation is and just how much it affects people personally. It is I've been going through hell. Every trans person in this country has been going through absolute hell on the daily because of this stuff. And you can say, well, let's turn off the TV. Well, okay, fine. Turn off the TV, turn off the internet, turn off the news, and watch as my life is being erased from the public sphere. Is that something I can do? It's just not in me. I can't do it. I can't do that.
For anybody,
even if I'm tilting at windmills, Mike, I can't do it.
For anybody that doesn't feel affected by this, the abortion ruling and all that shit. I mean, this isn't the end of it. This isn't the last thing that they want, right?
Right.
I mean, this isn't the only thing that they want. If they gain power through some anti-trans campaign, they're going to use that fucking power, and one day soon it's going to affect all of us. And
Yeah, they're gonna want more power over more
biblicists. You know, they're going to want the fucking Bible to be part of our legal system.
They're already doing that. I mean, Greg Abbott did that the other day. You know, it's like 10 Commandments bullshit. I mean, it's Roy Moore all over again in state after state. It's just gonna keep rolling.
Yep. I have something that I have to do in about 15 minutes, so we don't have much longer to talk. And unless you want to run things, Scott.
No, I need to get on and do some grown-up things.
Okay. But I got to get off pretty soon. At least 5 minutes before, so we got about 10 minutes. So anyway, but this video is linked in the description. I think I really want everybody to watch the Anita Bryant part in the beginning. There's a really good history of Anita Bryant. And I had forgotten about Anita Bryant. She was somebody that I absolutely hated back in the 70s. And I had forgotten all about her. Because apparently, is she still alive?
No, I think she's dead.
Well, that's a good thing.
Yeah, but her spirit lives on here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, she was sort of like back in the 60s and 70s. I was, the youth, and I was basically the one that was on the hot seat. For hippies were the evil, as drugged out hippies.
Wow.
And, she was kind of the face of some of that, and yeah, it was amazing.
Jason in the chat says, "Nope, she's alive."
Oh well. My gosh.
Oh fuck. That's too bad.
That's okay. She's not talking much.
No, you don't hear much from her anymore. So.
It's the earworm that pops into my head every time Anita Bryant's mentioned is "Changes in Latitudes" by Jimmy Buffett, which he ends by singing, and I hope Anita Bryant never ever does one of my songs.
Anyway.
He is 83 years old.
Oh, so there's an upcoming, is that this weekend? 420 live stream on April 20th, 2023.
That's awesome, Randolph.
I will go ahead and put that in my somehow I will put that in my description.
Well, Stephanie, if you think of another video or want to continue this video at a later time that you think is important for uninformed people like me to hear and want to provide some commentary on it, let us know, and we'll set something up. Can you agree to that?
I might even invite you over to my little spot on the interwebs and do something along those lines.
Yeah, that's great.
Oh, I spent most of my life clueless about most of this, actually.
Well, I just don't understand. When you have, and it's actually, if it's a consistently small representation of the population, if you have this consistent group of people saying, I don't feel right as a man, I don't feel right in my body. Why would anybody try to nullify that and say, no, and gaslight? You're just, under stress or whatever the excuses are. Transgender people don't exist. I don't understand why people would do that and not listen to what people are saying about themselves and take it seriously. It's all like it's a conspiracy theory to cut genitals off. It's just weird. I don't get that part.
Yeah.
But believe people when they say what's troubling them.
Yeah, I mean it's what I like to try to communicate is being transgender is another state of being. It's another state of being human. It's not a sickness. It's not something that can be cured in the sense that it goes away. It doesn't. It just doesn't. You know, it's something that is who you are. You know, there's the, well, if you could give someone a pill and they'd be happy with everything about their, you know, about their gender, which I think Arden Hart has a good take on what is, you know, what is. There's a difference between gender identity and gender presentation, and, you know, performing gender is a completely different drill than gender identity, because gender identity is a part of oneself that is that's internal. It's the way one sees oneself, and it's, you know, cis people have a gender identity, you know, and trans people do too. It's just that they're not trans people's gender identity is not consistent with their phenotype, right? It's not consistent with who they are externally. That there's a mismatch, and it's not really quite, you know, born in the wrong body is shorthand, but it doesn't really cover the really cover the whole issue. So it's, you know, it's complicated, and the problem is it's complicated. It's such a complicated issue that people don't want to explore it too much because it's uncomfortable.
Right. And I would imagine that people going through that kind of dysphoria may spend years not really understanding what it is that's making them miserable or feel alienated, because you have to put a whole lot of words to that to understand the complicated things, and so it seems like you're going to have people going through years of not understanding what it is that's making them a certain way, you know, and I really feel for that struggle.
Some do, some don't. I mean, it depends. People are different, you know. The whole discovery process varies. I mean, it wasn't. I understood what, you know. I understood the conflict when I was very, very small, and expressed it as a very, very small child would. And I think I've told my story in other venues, at least in part, but it's not. I guess I'll speak to my own experience. For me, it was a profound sense of sadness, just continuing sadness.
I was, I don't think I knew anything about trans until I was in my 30s. And I had dinner with Debbie, who was the best friend of my sister-in-law, at the Gay 90s bar in Minneapolis. I don't know if anybody knows, it's a famous bar. Basically, really a cool bar. But anyway, we had dinner, and Debbie was so clearly a woman that I never questioned for 1 minute that Debbie was a woman, and a trans woman, and that was my introduction to it. And like I say, I was a conservative Republican back then, and it was never part of the fucking Republican platform as far as I could see it. And that was kind of my introduction to it. So I think that was and it was a profound introduction, because I understood the reality of what Debbie was. But that's kind of where I got into it. I mean, I was that clueless before that. I was in my 30s, for Christ's sake. So, I mean, I didn't know much. Anyway, we got to end pretty soon, guys.
Whenever you're ready, Speed, you know.
I think I'm ready.
All right.
Anyway, we will continue. I wanted to get into my rant about physicalism again, and we'll probably do that on another stream. But I think I figured out why I'm having so much trouble conveying my brand of physicalism to other people. And I did it in a conversation with Jay Patrick, and we'll get into that later. But I got to get out of here. I got like 5 minutes. Okay.
All right, man. Talk to you soon.
Okay. Thank you for coming on, James, Stephanie, and Scott.
Bye, everybody.
Yeah, thanks, Stephanie, for all your contribution.
Yep.
No worries.
Okay. So,
Cheers.
Goodbye, cruel world.